Consistency is hard, and I mean extremely hard, especially in the creative field. It's so easy for us to just become our own worst critics and perfectionize our way into not making anything at all. I mean, look at this YouTube channel. Like, most of my uploads are once every 6 to 12 months. And to be quite frank, it's absolutely due to this perfectionism. This is where the clay pots come in. So pottery's been around for thousands of years, and it's one of the oldest art forms that we know of. That being said, I want to kind of ask a question related to this. If I gave you an image of a pot, showed you a pot, and then I asked you, it's a really beautiful handmade pot, and I wanted to ask you, okay, what do you think the person who made that pot, just something about them, what kind of person would you imagine this to be? Well, you could say this was the work of a potter who was very talented. This potter spent, years and years, just toiling away, working on this pot. Absolutely put their life and soul into it, creating the first of many masterpieces. This is actually ridiculous if you think about it, because does the person's first pot really just their masterpiece? You just spend years and years on this one thing, and eventually it's perfect, and you release it. And then you do the same thing again. That's where greatness is. Oh, it's the first thing we do. Really, no, you would imagine that a potter probably worked thousands of hours and made many, many, many pots over years, eventually resulting in them making the pot that you see before you. That a work of art, and the ones before and after works of art. But you might see that over time, the quality of that work just gets better and better as time goes on. And this is kind of why when we see the kid in math class that just gets everything right, we think to ourselves, oh, I need to be perfect like that person. And the reality is that kid didn't really get what they needed. They just could use their sheer intellect to get through that math class, to get through elementary school. And now that kid, unfortunately, never learned how to fail and how to iteratively improve and not be a perfectionist. I should know because, not in math class, but I was that kid for certain subjects in elementary school, and I definitely reaped some issues because of that. Now, this is all well and good and a nice little anecdote. Don't be a perfectionist. Just do your thing. You don't have to be the gifted kid. In fact, not being the gifted kid can be helpful. But I wanted to kind of give a really good, solid example of this. There once was a teacher, a pottery teacher, who wanted to figure out, what's the best way to teach my students and experiment with this. So she split her students into two groups. The first group was told, you need to make 1,000 pots. Don't care what the quality is, but you need to have 1,000 pots made by the end of the quarter. They ran on a quarter system. And that will qualify you for an A. The other students were asked, okay, you need to make 1 pot by the end of the quarter. And you can only really be working on this 1 pot. You're not going to be given all this stuff. You can't just make lots of pots. You have to have this 1 pot you're working on. And that pot must be excellent by the end of the quarter. What they found is the students that made the 1,000 pots ended up making better pots at the end of the quarter than the students asked to make a high quality pot. This is an amazing example of perfectionism failing. You remember that kid that I mentioned? The perfectionist? That kid was never taught how to fail. They always received perfection. You must be perfect. You just kind of got along with the sheer force of intellect. This results later on, and I've personally experienced this in college, and with filmmaking really, once you don't have the training wheels of school, you completely fall apart. And this is why failure and iterative improvement is so important. There's a really wonderful example, by the way, from Healthy Gamer, I'll link in the description and in a card, where he explains basically what is the basis behind this gifted kid thing if you're interested. What I want you to take away from this video is don't be afraid of failure and allow yourself to fail. That's just a part of the process. Failure is a part of the game. And look, I've found myself in this wonderful position of actually making pretty bad videos recently. The last 2 videos I made, terrible. And that's okay. That's a part of the process. And it's helping me to get better as time goes on. I wanted to thank Joshua Anderson for kind of bringing to my attention this idea of the 1,000 pots theory and how it connects us to really any creative and non-creative pursuit. And I wanted to thank the rest of you guys for watching and joining me on this wonderful video production journey. Catch you in the next one.